So tell me a little bit about Gestalt therapy and your approach.
Well, Gestalt therapy is really not about talking and explaining, and that's kind of anti-Gestalt if I explain it to you. Consciousness, dialogue, you can immediately see it's really action, it's really what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's not so much to explain, but do it and explaining. So lately, I like to call myself more as a poop therapist.
As a what therapist?
A poop therapist.
A poop therapist.
I think you heard me first time.
I just wanted you to repeat it.
Yeah, you were surprised a little bit?
I haven't heard you say that before, that you...
So you were surprised, and whenever you are surprised, when you get something new, we try to ask again. We almost don't trust our ears. We are like, oh, you didn't just say that. Was it something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Plus your thick accent, so
yeah.
Wanted to check in with you.
Of course, yeah. Poop stands for a past, old, outcast's pain. And basically, when I work with people, I always look for some emotional constipation. I see a life as a number of experiences, and they are all lessons to us. But when they are painful, or when we think they are painful, we usually reject the lesson, we reject experience, we try to stop it. So we have a lot of accumulated feelings that we never worked out, that were never integrated. So one of the words in Gestalt is integration. It's how to integrate all the separate parts of the personality, parts of our history, part of who we are. And a lot of them we are just projecting outside on other people. Some we are introject as ours, although they are not ours. Or we can simply not even see them, behave like they are not there, although everyone else sees that they are there. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's what I really try to do then, in conversation, in a moment-to-moment awareness, help a person with me to just explore it a little bit more. And I really, struggle with it. I'm very structured. I like chess. I like strategy, tactics. I like to organize things. I like to see. I like treatment planning. So you have objectives. You have final goal. But this is actually when you really start to work with the real people. You see, it's a kind of nonsense. It's so boundless. How every person has different way of organizing their personality, and how you need to tune in that unique way. And that's why I love this job. I'm doing this. I have been doing this for 30 years. And it's still, every new client is new challenge, totally new enigma.
So there's a lot of Gestalt helping the person be in the moment and recognize how they're feeling, and even picking up on maybe ways that they've expressed themselves that they don't realize, and come back to it and just be in the moment with their feelings, whatever those are.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. Can you share about maybe some cases you've had in the past, or kind of to illustrate that?
Yeah, I have a nice number of examples. But let me, I just remember these days one case, that happened 20 years ago. and I almost forgot it for 10 years. I wanted to forget it because I am also structured, I'm Gestalt therapist, but I still struggle. I want to have in my mind clear concept. I'm scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Everything needs to have cause and effect, have to be meaning and sense, and I want to see why things go and why something happens, what happened before that. And so I read a lot of literature that are not really Gestalt, some of them are anti-Gestalt, you know, but it does help me, this part of me, this cognitive part. So, you know, I had a training in transaction analysis, TA is very good for a cognitive person. Rational emotive therapy, CBT, you know, and today I like to read Siegel, his mind side, you know, trauma work, somatic experiencing, acceptance and commitment therapy. But what I found out is Gestalt is really the best. It's really the best things in all of these is really opening to know, to let yourself to discover together with the other person what is going on without solving it, figuring out for another person.
Can I interrupt you? I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm coming at this from a therapy kind of minded perspective, but what is your, talking about needing structure, you know, going into things, what is your goal, you know, coming from a Gestalt perspective when you're working with a person? What is kind of the overarching goal that you have in mind that you're always working towards that shapes, you know, your interactions?
Well, at this moment I'm sitting with you and I'm looking how you sit, how you look at me. Do you look to me relaxed or tight? What kind of contact you make with me? And I start with that.
Okay. So you start in the very much the here and now, like
Here and
exactly
now.
you
Exactly.
see how they are and you...
Yeah. And then also listen what you have to say, but I'm more on the process than on content. And maybe when you just ask me about, you know, example of my work, maybe it really could help me to explain you or tell you what happened like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, 94, I spent a year in a refugee camp working in the victims of war. And my main job was working with a group of women and help them to work with the children. So I teach them a little bit about trauma, about, you know, PTSD, how to play with kids, how to recognize symptoms and signs of trauma, and you know, how to work with it. And but besides that, there was a lot of adult people that had some experiences, and then UN officers were there, and they told me, you know, there is this really, really bad guy, isolated, totally detached, some signs of depersonalization, and they asked me, can you really help him? You know, he seems totally isolated from everyone. And there was a group of tortured people, but he couldn't connect with them too. So they said, so he cannot even at least share with them what happened. So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And, you know, although I was there as a psychologist and working therapy, I tried to avoid that word. I was just Enver. And I would go there, drink coffee with them, socialize, play, have fun, and trying to make nice atmosphere where we can really talk about something. And if it takes us to something more deeper and more serious, wonderful. If they stay on the surface, I would respect that and leave it like that. But they told me, don't do it with this young man. You really need, we really want you. You are the only one in this refugee camp who stays there daily. We come and go, so no one else can do therapy with you. So I started to say, and I asked him, so we started to socialize and to talk, and I asked him, and he said, no, nothing happened, nothing. It really sounded like, oh, he really had a lot to talk about, and he really had a lot, but he denies, and he is isolated. So I was really worried about him from the first moment. And then, but after 2 or 3 times, he opened up a little bit, and he started to talk. And he said, I really feel alone and out of contact with anyone. And I looked at him and I said, you're telling me that, but when I sit with you, the way how you look, the way how you breathe, your posture, I feel more connected with you than anyone else here, including these UN therapists. There is something very deep in you. There is a presence that I cannot sense so easy to other people. So when I asked him, what's really going on, and how come that people see you as detached, but I can see so much presence, he said, I tell them that I'm not, I tell them that I have troubles, but I don't feel any of that. I feel uncomfortable being around other people who complain about war atrocities and being victims, and I don't share any of it. I don't see pain, I don't see myself as a victim. And I just say, well, maybe you are not, so tell me what really, maybe it really didn't happen much, And he told me, okay, I can tell you, I was in, this concentration camp, I was captured by Croats, by my friends, and even, close friends. One day, I don't know how much you know about, ex-Yugoslavia and how different tribes started to fight each other, and the only difference was really religion and nationality, but even not so much big, because before that we really lived together, same as here now, today. So if, as much as you would be surprised that your neighbor comes with a gun to your home and say, I will capture you now, that's how we were shocked. And he started to talk, and then he just stopped, and he didn't want to go. And I felt like there is so much pain. So I told him, okay, So we started to talk about different things, and I had that luxury being there every day, seeing him often for 5 or 10 minutes, giving him time. And I remember that day, I don't remember details, but I remember the day when he came and he said, I'm ready, I feel ready. And I told him, I feel interested. And he started to tell. So the story is, he was captured, he was put in this concentration camp, and he was tortured for 2 months. It was almost every day. It was very humiliating. He told me a couple details. I was very thankful to him not to go in every detail. It was even disturbing to listen. They would treat you like an object. He's in this room, surrounded by 4 or 5, sometimes even 10 other people, the same victims. He is the same nationality. They were all Bosnians. In maybe a room like this, not bigger, they would poop there and do everything, And they never knew when they will hear the door lock, opening, and they never knew which one will be taken and beaten, and how it will be, and why. And he talked about fear, he talked about thinking about he told me, I didn't know, is it worse when they beat you or when they send you back and you don't know when will they come back to see you, so you were afraid. He said, I didn't know, was it worse watching others going the same or you experiencing that. So everything was like horrible. So I said, okay, and what happened? And he said, after maybe 2 months, I was sitting in this room. I'm horrified. I was just beaten and thrown this. And I saw this door that was always kind of, in this room was the worst, was the hell. And in that moment, I had strong experience that this door divided me from my torturers. And as long as I am behind the door, they cannot touch me. They need first to come through the door. And he said it was, now I didn't have the words, now I was just listening then, but now, you know, maybe 20 years later, it was explosion of the now, I would call it. I don't have, you know, you can say it was spiritual, it was realization, it was contact with reality.
When he first thought those words, or as he was telling them to you, as he told you the
story?
No,
I'm explaining what he probably experienced.
Yeah.
So when I was, let me tell you, I was totally perplexed. I didn't know what is going on. And that's why I think that probably Gestalt therapy is the best. That it allows you, by staying with a client, with his experience, helping him to experience, you don't need to know what's really is going on.
Right.
You don't need to understand, you don't need concept. As long as you are in contact with him, as long as he's not alone, as long as he feels accepted, and you help him to understand what's going on, and I saw it on him, he started to be relaxed, his face was different, and that's in a way, but I was a struggle, I still needed concept what's going on. But I just I had a training, you know, like 4 or 5 years in Gestalt, and I was also a trainer of 4 years, you know, couple of years of other people. So I knew the techniques, I knew the way, but it still didn't sink completely that I'm comfortable not knowing what is going on, just trusting the process. And now I know, 20 years later, the process was perfect. I was with him, I trusted him, I gave him a space, I encouraged him, and he started. So he also felt like this is the first time I'm talking to somebody. He tried to talk about before, but no one didn't.
Right.
No.
They didn't stay with him and give him the space he needed.
Yeah, and they tried to figure it out. So my best actually intervention was not to try to figure it out. I just let it go. I can't. I don't know what's going on. He was beaten for 2 months, and then he's telling me that at this moment he was, and now I'm explaining, he was so grounded in the now, beaten, tortured, but just the fact that just in this moment he's safe. He said, I was like overwhelmed with the peace. I felt so good. I felt safe, peaceful, protected, that no one can touch me. And it was so strong that it was so also almost embarrassing, because I was surrounded with the people who were, you know, horrible, you can see their faces, and I felt ashamed a little bit, what's going on with me. After 2 days, he tells me, my fear started to come back. And I said, okay, yeah, I'm protected. But when they open this door, when I hear the lock in the door, then everything will disappear. They're starting to beat me again. But he said after some couple hours thinking about it, I heard the lock in the door. And I felt even more peace. Oh, they are still not here. They are just opening the door. Look at me sitting here and safe. And they took him. They looked around, they looked at him, they took him. And he said, one of the guy, he was especially very bad. He liked to torture you and you have to say thank you whenever he hit you. And he was very neat, you know, and if you don't say thank you, you will get 10 times more. So he trained everyone. And he said, he beats me, I said thank you, he beats me, I said thank you after 3 times. The other guy came and said, so what are we going to do with him right now? So they were, and I felt peace. And I told myself, oh, he just finished. So it was so overwhelming that he didn't know what to do with it. I was here totally, you know, what's going on? I don't understand. And it continued like this for some time until he realized that they stopped to even choose him anymore. They started to enjoy. He didn't suffer. He said it was painful. They beat you, they humiliate you, but you don't. He said, I stopped to hate them. I just felt that whenever they stopped to hit me, I would feel still bruises and pain, but I didn't feel suffering anymore. It was just the pain. And when I talk all this, you know, I seem like pretty clear, but I was lost there. The only what I stay with him, I really was thinking about my teachers then and their some
Everything
instructions.
That you could do and
what I could do, what listening to them when they say stay with the process, stay in the now. Just let the person to have a space to express themselves and show them that you are with them. And that what came to my mind. It's a really, you know, I had so many questions I wanted to ask him. So how did that happen? You know, part of me really wanted to make a concept out of it. I also felt like, man, if we really find out what's going on, we can help others, you know, when they are in a very difficult situation. How to get in the now and to protect themselves from the stories in our heads. It's very hard to say to a prisoner in a cell that he's being tortured and being captured is just a story. And that at this moment, in that particular moment when he's there, that he's free, that he can be free inside and feel the moment.
What is one way that you're thinking about right now, challenging yourself in, that you would like to grow in this technique?
Actually, it's really to being brave and not depend on concepts so much. I still read too much. I still like, you know, I read almost everything, you know. I like, you know, inner family systems. I like dialectical behavioral therapy. I read all of this to find and to be able more to understand what really is going on. And I think what I need to do is to really trust the process, not to run to explanations, not to try to figure it out. Like at this moment, it's really, I'm with friends, I'm with people who are interested what I will have to say. It's very simple. You can just relax, enjoy a moment, and B, without any idea, what will happen with this video, are we going to record it and publish it or not, what will happen, can we just enjoy the moment? And this ability of enjoying the moment is the only goal we need to have.
So with our clients, just being in the moment with them, I know one really interesting technique that seems really effective, but when you're talking with clients and you ask them, can you enjoy this? Like maybe they share that their child is always just so annoying and just bothering them, or a student talks about a teacher that they hate, or, and you ask, can you tell me more about that, about where you got that from and how that plays into your therapy approach? And
yeah, it came like a kind of joke, in the first moment, because when you sit with somebody who comes with so much pain, they are struggling. My son is impossible, whatever I ask him, he says no, and he's stealing, and he's also spending time with some very negative people, and I know he will end up in jail, and it's really, at one point, I don't know how it came, but this question came to me to ask her, and can you enjoy all that? And I didn't even word it aloud, but when she left, I started to think, that was the best interaction. And it is, in a sense, to really put her out of her story, because she came with a story about impossible child in impossible life with impossible situation.
This is the meaning she had given it. This is the interpretation she had created.
Exactly. This is the story that she made. And to me it was clear that all these facts can be organized in a story, very enjoyable story.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Tom Sawyer, We all read it enjoying all these adventures, all this energy, all these very strange and, crazy things that are happening, and we read it and enjoy it. Can you imagine being a father of such boy and thinking about his safety and thinking about his future, and he's not going to school and being miserable and being, frightened. And now, it's not enjoying it. It's not suffering it. What really is healthy space, is feeling the space where you can choose one or the other.
Just being so much in the moment that you are you can see both emotions there.
Or eliminate all the story. There's no joy, or there is no misery. There is just this boy playing the way he plays. And accepting that reality will allow some possibilities that everyone included will agree upon, where we can go.
So what you're talking about really pulls back to mind the story you were sharing about that man in the concentration camp, that he, kind of did some Gestalt for himself. With just a short amount of time left, what would you like to share?
There's a lot of things that we can talk about that case, but at this moment, what I am really preoccupied is, this man did something, or nature did, or something, religious people would say he just realized God. Atheists would say he realized himself, his own self, and all the immense freedom. But as a therapist, I will ask, if I was there, or any other therapist in this world, could they bring this man with therapy to this liberation.
Yeah, to the place that he himself brought
And what kind of techniques or what kind of way would be possible or would secure that goal? And I still didn't find.
Yeah.
I still think that the nature, what happened, this moment,
That he did the biggest work.
or all this misery pushed him.